Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Three Buck Theater and Mandalorian. My God, the Mandalorian. So this episode, look, I know I'm going to get called out for first world problems here. I talked about this last week. I just need to address it again because this is getting ridiculous. At midnight, the episode wasn't online. It wasn't online for me until just about 2 o'clock in the morning. That's when it appeared on the website. Apparently, it was popping up on other applications, and you had to find a wriggle room in order to be able to watch it. So if it doesn't pop up for you and everyone else is watching it, go to the watch page, go to the end of the last episode, and then just let it autoplay to the next one, and then it should work, because that's how I finally freaking saw it. I was this close to pirating the episode simply because I paid for the service. I want to watch the service. And why do they keep screwing up this damn rollout? It's frustrating because this episode is, quite frankly, the best episode of the show thus far. And all things considered, the show has been magnificent. But this ratcheted up. This cranked it up. This brought it to a place that I honestly wasn't necessarily expecting from this show. A show that was wrought with tension and emotion. And almost from a completely silent protagonist, but yet his stoic persona, his stoic presence was able to actually convey a whirlwind of emotions. And maybe it's the fact that I absolutely love the show, that I've spent all week joking about the show, making memes, laughing at memes, talking about it with my friends, that I've grown this massive love and connection to it, that when certain things happened, which I'll talk about, I just felt a deeper connection to it. And since the Force is all about connection, this show has got it in spades, absolute spades. So I was always kind of wondering what was going to be happening when Mando returns with the baby Yoda. Was he going to be taking it to the client right away? What were they going to be doing with it? We already know, at least through speculation, that Dr. Pershing is actually a Camino scientist. So the idea there of trying to clone this baby, or at least get the necessary DNA material to clone more of them, or to create Force-sensitive kids or Force-sensitive clones, feels like essentially what's going on, right? It kind of feels like that, considering that that's just the best speculation one can have when looking at a Camino cloner on a very not Camino planet, a very long time past the end of the Clone Wars. So what's going on there? Who the hell knows? We're still waiting to find out more, and I guarantee we will. But what was interesting was, like, the very beginning of it was just this little simple shot that I loved of Mando in the Razor Crest, and we see little baby Yoda crawl up out of the little bassinet, and then walk over to him, and then take this knob off of a steering wheel, and then try to eat it. And Mando's like, "That's not a toy." And I've got two kids under the age of 2, so for me that just totally hit home. I was like, "Oh, that's so cute. That's so adorable. That's so sweet. Oh my God." And then, of course, when they get to the, to the client, and the stormtrooper is pulling the bassinet, and Mando's like, "Hey, be careful with that." And the guy's like, "You be careful with that," or whatever, And I'm like, you could kind of tell, like, there was a bit of that paternal energy going on there, right? You could see Mando getting a little bit stressed. And that's part of Pedro Pascal's amazing acting. Even when he's completely masked, you can see that just through him. You can feel the tension. Now, I also want to say that Deborah Chow, who directed this, who will be doing the Obi-Wan series, amazing job. And if she brings that level of energy to Obi-Wan, I can't even begin to tell you, like, how off the charts insane amazing that is going to be. But anyway, like, he gets there, he delivers the child, gets the best scar from the client, but then looking at the baby as it's being, kind of ushered away, and the baby turns and goes, oh, he kind of cries. I felt it so hard. Right. I talked to another guy who'd seen the episode too, and he said that when that happened, he went and checked on his own children. That is the emotional connection people have with Baby Yoda. And I am still trying to wrap my head around that entire thing. How is it we have that level of connection with Baby Yoda? It looks like a sickly gizmo, but in the most adorable way possible. So that was insane. Right. That was just, I was just like, okay, Mando, but you could feel the stress and the anxiety. That was the thing. You could feel the anxiety. He gets the Beskar. He goes to the armorer. The armorer goes and makes him the whole Mandalorian set. And of course, at this point, we get to see other Mandos that pop up, because before in the first episode, he just walks through a bunch of them and we get this kind of like shadowy look at some of them. Right. So we get a look at some of their armor. And there's people asking the question, was that Boba Fett in the backdrop? Because it looked very similar. And through Mandalorian culture, if I recall correctly, like they dress their armor in different ways, but it's meant to kind of express their personality or certain things that they have done. And I think we're going to find out more, because there was an idea there about the signet, right? That you have to kill something in order to get a specific signet on your armor. And he says he killed that space rhino from last week, whose name I forget. And the armor's like, well, then I will give you that particular signet. And he goes, well, no, it wasn't a clean kill. I got help from an enemy. Now that line to me was fascinating, because when he says enemy, you know, he doesn't feel it. We know he doesn't feel it. And she says, why would your enemy help you? And he goes, well, he didn't know he was my enemy. And that, of course, is how the Mando is trying to emotionally distance himself from this Baby Yoda, right? It's kind of like the old Yeller thing, like the get out of here. I don't love you. I never loved you. Get out of here. That's kind of what it feels like to me. That's what he was going for in his mind, trying to trick his own brain, right? I can't think about that. Like, I can't think about that. Well, I'm a bounty hunter. This is what I do. So of course he ends up taking a job from Grief Cargo, one that sends him far away to go and get a nobleman, like a Mon Calamari kid, one that jumped bail. And he's just like, I'm going to go get far away from here and take my mind off of it and not think about it. Right. So he goes back and he goes out to his ship and he just sits there. And then of course, again, the way they get you is like you see him and you could kind of just feel that energy of not being like, he's on edge. He's agitated. He's thinking about Baby Yoda. We're thinking about you, Baby Yoda. We want the two of them to be reunited, but we know maybe he's going to leave. I thought maybe he was going to leave, you know, but of course he was a foundling. We know this. He was a foundling. He was an orphan. He looks at this 50-year-old child in the same exact light. And then of course the camera cuts to a shot where we see the shifter without the knob on top. And immediately I'm transported back to the first part of the episode, just like how cute that was. And he felt the same way, because he finds it and he screws it back on and he thinks he's going to leave. And he's all like, F it. And he heads back over and starts scoping everything out. He's thinking, because I love this, Mando's going into like action mode, right? He's like, I'm going to go get this baby, but I got to figure out what the hell's going on. He's going to kind of, you know, what I loved is he was like scoping out the place and he was trying to like maybe find weak points or whatever. But then he comes across a dumpster, and in the dumpster is the bassinet. And again, that emotion flared up. You feel the tension, you feel the anger rising, you feel everything. And you know exactly that he has now hit the point of no return, that he has now decided fully what he plans on doing, and he has to find a way to get on in. So of course he goes and I didn't even realize that there was like somewhat thermal vision and like some kind of very nice audio detection that he was able to get out of his visor or out of his scope, which, whatever, it's the future. They can fly through space and they got, you know, force sensitive Yoda babies. So I'm cool with that. But then you hear the client talk about how, like, you know, they could just kill the baby. Dr. Pershing's like, I'm not trying to kill it. We have to protect it. So he could see what's going on there, but he at least knows that the baby is there. So he goes over and he takes out the droid from Return of the Jedi. But when he knocked on the door and the thing's eye came out and he pulled it off, there was tension there. There was intensity there. Like, you knew he was like, I'm going to go mess some stuff up. Mando is going to go F some shit up. So then Mando runs over, puts out a thermal bomb, takes it out, gets inside, you know, blasts his way through a bunch of stormtroopers. And again, excellent how he's just using the blaster, and how he's just like using cover, and he's just being covert, and that was kind of the one thing I thought was kind of dumb, was like, you blew a hole in the side of this building. Like, everyone around is going to hear that explosion. I mean, stormtroopers are going to come running, and they kind of felt like they weren't really like taking it seriously. Like, what do you mean this whole thing just happened? That doesn't make any sense. You know, it kind of felt like a bit of a video game moment, you know, like you alert the guards for a second and then they go, it's fine. Never mind. They just walked past like a dead body and they returned to their rounds. Like, kind of what it felt like. It was, I think, the only unbelievable thing in the episode, if I'm being fair. But then he gets in and he finds the doctor and he finds Baby Yoda, and the doctor's like, you know, I'm trying to protect it. 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 You know, and I think Mando can see that. I think Mando knows that the doctor wants to keep it alive, because otherwise it would have been dead. And it's clear at this point they want the material. They want the genetic material. And so, you know, they're clearly working on cloning this thing. I don't think there's any other explanation at this point. But what I got in that moment where I got vibes from The Last of Us. And if you played The Last of Us, you know what I'm talking about with that last mission, the last level in that game. That's the vibe that I got. That like paternal instinct. I'm going to kill anyone that gets in the way of this. This is what I'm doing. And then, of course, he fights his way out. And you think all is good, right? You think all is good. He got out of there. He killed all the stormtroopers. Everything is good. Then they have probably one of the coolest moments in the episode. Not the coolest, but one of the coolest, where it cuts back to the cantina and all of a sudden all the tracking fobs light up. Every bounty hunter in that cantina is lit up, just like John Wick Chapter 2, when they do the excommunicado on John, and all of a sudden everyone gets the text messages and John is the most hunted man literally in the world. That's the same thing right there. So Mando's on his way back to the ship and we get a full on like just 310 to Yuma style situation where he is surrounded by everybody in Grief Karga and this massive shootout happens. And it's great, right? It's total Western. I mean, even to the point of where like they're in like it's a speeder controlled by an astromech droid, but you think that it kind of feels like one of those like wagon carts, you know, like it's going to be like an escape on a wagon from an old Western or something. But then Grief takes out the astromech as it tries getting away, you know, just kind of slowing it down. And then like, you know, just as you think Mando's going to die, like he's holding the baby and he's looking at the baby and he's kind of like, you think wanting to say like, I'm sorry, little kid, I tried or something, you know. All of a sudden a rocket flies in and then all the other Mandalorians who have been hiding their existence here, they all show up and they just start tearing apart the bounty hunters, right? All, you know, this is the way, right? I mean, again, another meme. We have I have spoken and this is the way. The show is memeing itself into the hearts of everybody. The hearts of Star Wars fans are being memed, right, into legendary status. When I've mentioned this before as a real quick side note, I've mentioned this before that the you can tell the popularity of something by how much it's memed on the internet. They have done excellent here in regards to setting things up that people are going to really, really, really love. So that's again, it's one of those things that you can tell there's such a deep love for this show already that the memes are flowing. And of course, you know, like just little slogans that these cultures say are going to be used as memes anyway. But there's one great shot where it kind of like the one dude who Mando fought earlier, you know, who was kind of giving him crap, the other Mandalorian who was giving him crap, shows up with like a heavy blaster turret and just starts, right? And it felt so Rebel Commando that I was squealing with joy because I want nothing more for them than to either re-release that game or remake that game or tell that story, because I loved that story. And considering the fact that all the clones are all Mandalorian, right? That's basically kind of the idea through Jango Fett. It felt like Republic Commando. It felt like it. So I really want to know more about that. And of course, he gets away. Grief kind of follows him. You know, Grief still tries to take back the kid. Mando causes a distraction, shoots Grief right where he had the Beskar. He knew he wasn't trying to kill him. Right. It was one of those, like, he shot him in the Beskar because it would protect him. He knew that. But then he leaves him out there and he escapes on the ship. And as he's taking off on the ship, man, that same Mandalorian that had the heavy turret jetpacks up, gives him a Rocketeer salute, and then takes the hell off. And I'm like, Rocketeer, what is going on here? Right. I mean, there's even a line, there's even a great line where even Grief says, like, I'm your only hope, you know, like earlier on. Like, they are referencing so much in such a delightful and loving and caring way that when you watch it, you know for a fact, like, this is something that's made with love, right? This is something that's so made with love. And yeah, I really, really liked it because at the end, Baby Yoda gets back the little ball, right? Mando gives him the ball, gives him the toy. And again, just made my heart warm and make me want to go check on my kids and everything else. It's a great show. It's an awesome show. It's an amazing show. What I would love to see them do is take the first 3 episodes and package it as a movie, release it via Fathom Events, do a one-night screening in theaters, or just release it as a feature. You know, they got 3 years. You know, they got 3 years in between Rise of Skywalker and the next movie. And even Alan Horn had said that if the popularity of the show was there, they might reverse engineer it and find a way to turn it into a movie. Well, all you got to do is release the first 3 chapters as a movie because it flows like a movie. You know, it flows like the first arc of a story. And you could almost say like the first arc of a trilogy, the first movie in a trilogy. He's got, you know, his mission, and he gets the baby and he saves the baby and they escape, and what happens next you can watch on Disney Plus. I don't think there would be any greater of a marketing tactic for Disney Plus than to package the first 3 episodes, release it theatrically, rake in the dough. Because even though I pay for Disney Plus, I would still go pay to go see that in theaters. If they released that in IMAX or something, I would pay to go see it in IMAX. I would take people I know who don't have Disney Plus, or if they do have Disney Plus, I would get a watch party together to go see it. Because this show, I'm just going to say it, it's probably like the best show in a long time. And we're 3 episodes in, and I'm not saying that with any kind of trepidation or any kind of hesitation. I mean that legitimately. Like, I'm excited for the show. When I was complaining at the beginning of this video about it not being live, it's not because I'm trying to have first world problems, which kind of comes across that way. It's because I'm excited for the damn show and I want to see it. If I have to sit there and, you know, look at a service I pay for and almost run to the high seas of the internet in order to be able to watch it, that shows you dedication, man. Dedication and love and desire to see more. And thankfully, we got a week to go. But I want to know your thoughts and your opinions. If you guys want to do a spoiler discussion with me, we'll do it this weekend. Let me know down in the comments if you find that to be interesting. If you made it this far, go ahead and type Mando in the chat so I know. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, smack on that notification bell, and I will see you all next time. Remember, this is the way. This video is supported by patrons like you. If you'd like to become a patron, please head over to patreon.com/Matt Jarbo.